So a lot of you guys have been asking in my Twitch chat, yo Skills, do you have an updated video for your bossing and your mobbing for Ultimate VIESSA? And that is what this video is for. So if you guys watch my Twitch streams, here it is for all of you guys who have asked. If you just come to my YouTube for the builds themselves, well, hopefully you guys enjoy this one. These are going to be the same build. We're gonna swap out some modules, swap out the reactor, but you do not have to re-roll any of your sockets to match either build, because you can use the same socket type for the same builds. We just swap a couple things out and we switch the reactor and it works amazing. You guys saw right there, that was Pyromaniac at 26 seconds. Here is some mobbing footage. This is gonna be the same build that you're gonna be running when you guys are running hard content, so those dungeons and stuff like that. Same exact build. If you guys watch my streams, you guys already know this is what I typically run, hard dungeons, and this is the character I use. VIESSA is the girl that I consider my main, and I run almost all my content with her. Now, typically I do switch to Bunny for doing some XP farms. I'll even switch to Lebic for a few of the hard boss runs if I just want to get through them very quick. But again, ideally, if I only had one character to pick that could do almost everything in the game, Ultimate VIESSA would be that character, because she's just so diverse. Her skills, they put out insane amount of damage. You're gonna see Devour right here, right? You can see some of those numbers, and the fact that I can constantly spam my skills creates an insane amount of damage against these colossal bosses. As you guys are seeing, Devour right here, I think he goes down in just under 28 seconds, and pretty easy, right? It wasn't even a flawless run. I could definitely improve on it. I think I've dropped Devour with her with the same build in like 20 seconds. I just have, this is newer gameplay. But again, you guys can take down some of these harder bosses. But I think it's time to get into the build, so let's go. So the first thing we'll do is we'll dive into the build itself. Then I'm gonna show you the reactors, the external components, and I also wanna show you one mod that pairs well with our mobbing build. So let's get into it. So we're right here and we have our builds with Ultimate VIESSA. The Transcendent module we're going to be having is Absolute Zero. Now you can get this from Frostwalker or by combining 4 modules, Transcendent modules together. I recommend just farming Frostwalker, but again, you can take the chance of getting it by combining. Now, why is Absolute Zero good? When using the skill, Ice Shackle is not inflicted. When the skill lands, a critical hit inflicts Frostbite on the target. Successfully inflicting Frostbite triggers Ice Spear. Now, I tell you, there is a mod where there's actually 2 modules that you could put on your weapon that actually pairs up really well with Frostbite that you get from Absolute Zero. Now, if you don't have Absolute Zero, then you can go to Hypothermia. That's something else you guys can do there. We have Spear and Shield here. This is going to give us defense and skill power. We have increased HP. We have skill expansion for that skill effective range. It's going to make our blizzard wider. We have time distribution for a skill cooldown max HP. We have extreme measures for skill critical hit rate and skill critical hit damage. Nimble fingers for skill cooldown. Skill insight for that skill critical hit rate. We have front lines for skill critical hit damage and skill critical hit rate. Focus on chill, skill chill power, and skill cooldown. And if you don't want to run this, you could even run chill specialist and not have the skill cooldown, but again, you want that skill cooldown. We have skill concentration for that skill critical hit damage, and then long distance maneuvering. Obviously, you can put whatever you want here. Now, I do have this one rolled, so instead of 10 extra slots, I get 5 extra on top of that, so 15 total. So looking at the build itself, this is how I run my mobbing build. What's great about it is your Frost Road always stays up. It's singular, so it's actually going to work great with our module. When you do use Absolute Zero, it switches everything to singular, so that means you get a reactor that is singular. You're going to hit harder. And the great thing about this is when all the other skills are on cooldown, you're still getting damage from Frost Roads because it's inflicting Frostbite, and that's why this build works so good on mobbing. And then if you look at reactor, we are going to be running a frozen singularity reactor. The reason why is because of Absolute Zero. Remember, it changes everything singular. So we have Thunder Cage, chill skill power, singular skill power, and then what I really will love, I've been trying to get one. I'm waiting for the farming for this reactor to come back. I have singular on here, which is amazing. It's a gold rolled, but I definitely want something else instead of that electric skill power. Either chill skill power, critical hit damage would be great here, even some cooldown. You guys can play with that, see what you guys like. But again, this thing absolutely is amazing, even with me missing that extra kind of damage or bonus stat that I can get right there. So I'm waiting to get a better one. That's what I would do if I were you. For our external components, we are running the Slayer set. The Slayer set actually works good with VIESSA because the 2-piece gives us general round capacity. capacity. The rounds per magazine on the four piece. Skill cost is gonna be a little bit more, but that skill power of 26% is amazing. We are running for the auxiliary power, defense, and max HP. For the sensor, we're running max shield and max MP, and then we have shield recovery out of combat. We have max shield and defense on the memory. And then on our processor, we have max MP and max shield. Now, I do want to show you something with the Thunder Cage. So one thing you guys need to pay attention to the Thunder Cage is I have it set up for colossal bosses, and I typically do not switch it at all. But if I am mobbing, I do a couple different things, and I'll show you right here. So for mobbing, if I do have VIESSA, I do always have better concentration for the fire critical damage, rifle and reinforcement for firearm attack, action reaction for firearm attack, fire rate up. These three are typically the ones you always see. Now, Quick Freezer is one that you really want to put on this build, especially if you're mobbing. For this reason alone, when defeating an enemy inflicts frostbite on other enemies within 8 meters of the target, 4.8 seconds. Cooldown is 20 seconds. The reason why this is so good is because that's just more damage you're able to do with frostbite, and it works very, very good. And I always love running Quick Freezer. Now, if I am running a dungeon, I swap it out to this one and I run Snowflake Conductor. Now, the reason I do this is when attacking enemies inflicted with frostbite, firearm attack is 22%. Why is that good? Because if you fight any of the bosses at the end of the dungeon, typically they're gonna have that frostbite on them, so you're gaining an additional 22%. Really good there. So back to here where we have Quick Freezer, we have better insight for the fire critical hit rate. We have right here, I did switch out the weak point on this one, movement speed while aiming. You guys can put whatever you guys want here. I do have this one available to put whatever I want. If you want to run fire, chill, electric, toxic, this, you don't want to roll this, so that way you can constantly swap that out, and I'm able to max it out right here. Concentration priority for the critical hit damage, and then weak point sight. Again, another one you can move. Now, I'll tell you, since this Thunder Cage is built, typically right here, as you'll see, it's built with weak point for bossing. I don't typically just switch it out. I just don't have time to do it all the time. So if you do want to, a good one like I use it is that movement speed while aiming's decent. You can also try to see if you can fit something else there, but there's not much you're going to be able to do there. So again, that's why I leave this kind of the way it is. But if you guys are mobbing, Quick Freezer, and then if you guys aren't mobbing, well, if you're doing more dungeons, Snowflake, you guys can test both, see which one you like. But those typically are the two that I like running because I think they're great. Now, I'll be showing you my boss setup in just a second. So I think we showed you everything you guys needed to know for our mobbing. But now you guys want to get into, we're gonna have to change a couple things. We'll have to get into our Descendant modules for, yes, bossing. So bossing, I like using cold-bloodedness. Now, why don't I typically use this for mobbing? Because when you use cold-bloodedness, it gets rid of Frost Road. And the reason why this one's so good is because of the increase in skill power, the decrease in skill cost and cooldown. It's so, so good. And I think a lot of you guys are gonna enjoy this one. So the way we have this one set up is almost exactly the same way. Spear and shield, defense, skill power, increase HP, max HP, increase defense, nimble fingers for skill cooldowns. We have front lines for critical hit damage, critical hit rate, MP conversion for skill cooldown. We have emergency measures for skill critical hit rate and skill critical hit damage. We have skill insight for skill critical hit rate. We have focus on chill, again, skill chill power and skill cooldown, and then skill concentration for that skill critical hit damage. So just a small few changes as you guys see, but look, take a look at these cooldowns on here. Frost shards is 2.2 seconds, and that's without cold-bloodedness. When I proc cold-bloodedness, what does it do? It's gonna drop this down to about 0.8 seconds. That's pretty crazy, 0.8 seconds on these frost shards. Again, same thing's gonna happen with this. This is gonna get cut down too. Cold snap is 6.4 seconds, it gets cut down. Our blizzard, I believe, gets down to almost 7 to 8 seconds, I believe that's the time. But yeah, again, very, very good. Blizzard with cold-bloodedness is good. So that 19 seconds gets cut down. But yeah, cold-bloodedness is such a good skill that you guys should be using, especially if you guys want to boss, because you can spam a lot of these skills that you need to spam. So again, if you guys are trying to mob, this is what I like. Let me show you something. So for the reactor, you're not going to use this one. We're actually going to swap it out to we use the Thunder Cage one right here, chill skill power, tech skill power, because remember our fourth skill, our blizzard skill is tech. We have skill critical hit rate and tech skill boost. This is exactly how you guys want it. If you guys don't want to have more critical hit rate, but you want to have more critical damage, you guys can do that. I did level up both of the reactors, the other one and this one. They are both leveled up. You can see these 2 diamonds right here. So that's why the skill power is up there. We are running the same exact Slayer set. We have defense, max HP on here. We have max shield, max MP. We have max shield, defense, and then we have max MP, max shield. And those are the big changes you need to do from the bossing. You'll have to change the reactor for each one of those. And then you'll also have to change a few modules to make it work. But overall, this is how it goes. I do have 30,000 defense on this build for bossing and only 7,000 health, but it still works amazing. This is kind of my go-to build. Now for the Thunder Cage, for that one, I typically use this one right here. I go concentrate support ammo. You guys can figure out what you guys want to put here. Weak point insight, obviously, and then weak point sight. So the same setup that I had for the other VIESSA ones, except I'm changing these 2 and I'm putting these 2, or same thing, just changing this. So you play with it. Remember, you can always swap this out for whatever you want. That's the great thing. So whatever boss type I'm fighting, I just go down and I just swap them out. So if I want to run electric, boom. If I want to run toxic, boom. If I want to run fire, boom. And they're all leveled up exactly to where I'm capped out at 80 of 80. But those are the builds, guys. Hopefully that helped you out. That is my bossing build, and that is my mobbing / dungeon build. Both really good. You guys see me using it on stream. If you guys want to catch me, I should be live later today on twitch.tv/NothingButSkillz. I'll see you guys in the next one. Appreciate the support. Appreciate the love. NothingButSkillz is out.